So now, as we move forward on this, we were speaking in our sixth Sabbath, the introduction, the introductory teaching concerning the sixth Sabbath, TOLEDOTH, the generation that concerns the generations of Yitzhak, that begins in Genesis chapter 25, verse 19. And let's bring that up, because this is how it dovetails with a question that was asked about firstborn. Firstborn. So in 25 and 19 it says, and these are the generations of Isaac, Yitzhak, Abraham's son. Abraham begot Yitzhak. Yitzhak was 40 years old when he took Rebecca to wife, the daughter of Bethuel, the Syrian of Pandan Aram, the sister of Laban the Syrian. And Yitzhak entreated Yahweh for his wife, because she was barren. And Yahweh was entreated of him, and Rebuke, his wife, conceived. And the children struggled together within her. And she said, if it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire, she went to ask of Yahweh Baruch Hu. And Yahweh Baruch Hu said to her, 2 nations are in thy womb, 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels, and the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger, and the elder, the older people, or the older people will serve the younger. Now it's very interesting, because this has a lot to do with both the black matriarchal system, you understand, that is totally non-sexist. You see, we've been told a lie concerning Old Testament and concerning the matriarchy, the true matriarchy, the matriarchy that spiritually is submissive to the true patriarchy of God. In other words, this is the balance. This here is the balance. This is what the world has been lacking. This is what the devil has sought to confuse ones by teaching falsely a lot of the women that the Bible is sexist. You see, and that like almost like women, they couldn't go to God, they couldn't have a God relationship. We're told by some that this is only like a New Testament thing. But right here you see that Rebecca, she goes to ask Yahweh, and Yahweh speaks to her. It doesn't say that Yahweh spoke to her husband. You understand? It doesn't say that she had to go to some priest. But she knew, because you have to remember that in the previous, the 5th sabbatical study, if you have spent time to study it, we wasn't able to post everything that we had recorded on that particular teaching, because we go into some details, and like some say, we can be a little bit long-winded in here, a very long time going over certain points. For some of y'all, that's great. For others, you might not have the listening ears. So what we try to do is give an overview and touch on some of the main points, but then we go into some of the more detailed studies. So we want to have a whole series, an audio MP3 series that really goes into the fuller expounding on some of the details of the point. But right now, just keep praying for us as we're praying and working this out right now, so that we can get up to the publishing of the more expanded teachings. But we want to speak on the matriarchy, because here it shows a very good example. You know, we could also talk about Sarah herself. You understand? We could even go all the way back to even so-called Garden of Eden. Eve had a lot of freedom. You understand? Some would say maybe that was too much, but really for us, according to our ministry, we see Adam more at fault than Eve. Eve has a fault, being beguiled and deceived, but Adam, the man, in other words, like we said earlier in earlier teachings, is the black man. You see, once we get our acts together, this is what we do have to get our acts together. That may be one true thing that a lot of the sisters, daughters, mothers, wives have been saying, though only a few of them have been helping with this. I mean, in spirit and in truth, according to the true way to help us with this, getting our acts together as the brethren. So you might hear us say often that this is for the brothers, the brotherhood, because we want to address it like the scripture addresses it. If you could read the scripture in its original and the pure language of the Mythos, you will see that much of it addresses specifically the males, specifically the singular male. I don't mean that a male that don't have a wife or sister, no, it's saying the singular male. So when each male is reading this in its proper context, it is as though the word is speaking to you singularly. You understand? Because our responsibility. This was how Adam, you understand, and the so-called fallen seed and fallen race were to work that out and to basically work their way and realign themselves. But the forces that humanity has been dealing with have been very, very strong, and unfortunately, the true light in us, you understand, seems to have gone out more and more than really to burn brighter and brighter without and apart the Christ consciousness. It's through the Christ consciousness, even through the consciousness of Christ and his kingly character. And we say Haile, Sellassie, because now we also have another situation in our community. We have the Empress thing, you know, the Empress situation, where sisters who are poorly trained are taking titles that they have no business taking. You understand? Any daughter or sister in Rastafari that is an empress, the majority, just about all of them, are above their grade. Maybe it's a nice complimentary thing to say. Maybe one is playing on your feelings, so forth and so on. But just like a brother can't walk around and call himself emperor, you understand? This be partially or even universally accepted by other Rastafari. Why is it all right to allow the sisters, each one of them, to call themselves empress? It's not. You're not on your grade. You understand? You've gone out of your grade. But remember what we said from the earliest part, that ignorance of the law is no excuse. This is why we're in a period of grace. This is why the ministry has to point these things out, whether people willingly change these things or not. At least they will know when it's all fulfilled that one did come to them and one did tell them, as the scriptures say. At least they would know in those days and those times there was a prophet, you understand, one to bear the news, you understand, of the King of Kings and his Christ. One did seek to inform them of that, you understand, to give them a report to them the truth. Whether they want to accept it or not, whether they want to check it out and research it, we hope ones would study it for themselves. Because you study it for yourself, then you'll know it for yourself. But the Bible is not sexist. You know, the Bible is, the more and more we study, especially having the advantage and opportunity to study it in various of the original, what's called the original and the pure language of the King of Kings, the more and more we find that totally opposite of that false satanistic worldview that the Bible is feminine, the Bible is sexist, you know what I'm saying, and it's anti-feminist or it's anti-females. What people are doing, for lack of a better word, are like yanking your chain and breaking your chain or chaining you up. You understand? Chaining up your mind, your hearts and your mind by giving you lies and dissembling, so that you would not even have the willingness to really find the truth for yourself, because you'll believe, well, that must be true. We're here to say that is totally, definitely not true, because even this example here was very, as we meditated it, the example of Rebecca speaking to Yahweh, and then it goes on to the birth, to mention the birth of ESAU. The birth of ESAU, or Esau and Yaakov. Now this is what ties now into the firstborn, because there's a birthright issue here, birthright issue coming up, and this is a direct tie now to the firstborn. We're going to touch on a little more about the non-sexist level of the Bible, the non-sexistness of the Old Testament especially. Women were very spiritually liberated, you understand, in Adonai, in the true God, you understand, as they are in the true God and his Christ, in the true Rastafari. So now,